Hello everyone. This is Paul Cook. Welcome to Burly Pearly Knits and my second ever video tutorial. If you are new to Burly Pearly, please hit subscribe if you like what you see, and the bell and all that other stuff. You can check me out on Ravelry and Instagram as Burly Pearly and all that good stuff. I have a group in Ravelry, which I tend to not be very good at checking that, but I'm getting better. So for this knit along, there will be a group in Ravelry called the Seaside Cowboy Shawl, KAL. So I'm just making a note. Yeah, so welcome to my first knit along. Materials you need. Well, I have my beer, my Phillips beer, so let's pop that. This is the Amnesiac Double IPA from Phillips Brewery, which is in Victoria, British Columbia. This is an unfiltered, very hoppy, lovely beer. There we go. So, just let that sit. Materials you're going to need for this. So, our plans are to make something kind of like this. I call this my lacy cake shawl, or Seaside Cowboy Shawl. I'm not quite sure, I haven't settled on a name, but I'm thinking lacy cake. For this one I used Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn. I think it's a 4-ply or 3-ply merino nylon blend. It's extremely soft. It shows off the lace patterns very well. But this was a complicated knit. There was knitting things together on, two stitches together on both sides and really having to pay attention. And I love it. I get so many compliments on this. So I wanted to make another one. So what I did is I got some, this is Ching Fibers, Q-I-N-G, Ching Fibers from the UK. I got stuff in my nose, sorry. This is also beautiful. However, I learned a valuable lesson when I was making this shawl, is that with the busy yarn, the lace does not show up as well as it does with something a little bit more subtle. So, with that in mind, I purchased a couple different yarns with the intent of making another shawl. And so I have these from Hedgehog Fibers. I think these should be kind of like calm enough that these are going to go really well together and look good in lace. As well as my second option was this from Olan, O-L-A-N-N, and this is a sock light. So I should mention this from Hedgehog Fibers. This is their skinny singles. It's 100% merino. It's not a sock yarn, but it's definitely fingering weight. Single ply. So it's going to bloom a lot more. So much like this one, it has a lot more bloom. This one, because it is a 4-ply, seems to really have some fantastic stitch definition, and this would be very similar to that in a finished product. So you're going to need about 200 grams of fingering weight or sock yarn. You're going to need needles. These are my 20-inch, I think these are Knitter's Pride, circular needles. I love these. You can see I use them a lot because they are bent, and I just kind of like it that way. Yeah. Now your yarns do not have to be different colors. I just did that so that there's going to be something similar to this of some sort of transition. But definitely if you have two skeins of the same, it'll give you something more, oops, wrong side, more like that. So, we are going to be making I should stop putting this down. It's a single, just a triangle. Okay, we're going to be starting the skinny end, making our way up, doing a single stitch increase every second row along the left hand edge when it's facing you, right side facing. In between each lace section, there will be a break. So on this one you can see, maybe you can't, I did a garter stitch here. It tended to work quite well until there was a little bit of variation in the pattern, and then it got a little bit wavy. So what I did on this, what I liked doing on this one was I did a period of seed stitch in between each lace section. And each lace section is going to give you a really good foundation in knitting simple lace. So this will all be knit with the lace on the right side, and wrong side is all purl. So we don't have to worry about doing anything funky there. Stitches we're going to be covering is make one right, make one left, as well as yarn overs. And then a variety of slip-slip knits, pass slip-slip stitches overs, and knit two togethers to get our effect. This part one, is going to cover just casting on now and then getting that foundation set up and getting into our first layer. And then part two will be the second layer. So, if you're ready, we can begin. Cheers. Okay, so here we go. You can see my two color choices here nice and clearly. I have this beautiful charcoal, as well as this more turquoise color, and both of them have the same kind of color flecks in each other, and they go really well together. And if you ever hesitate about colors and if they go, one lovely trick I like to use is you take just two strands from each one, hold them together, and if it goes without it like jarring your senses, then it's gonna go. So, here we go. I am gonna start my shawl with this darker color for my foundation kickoff. So for now, let's put this one over here. And I'm not gonna need that for a long time. And I've got my 3.25 millimeter needle. You need not very much of a tail. I would say that's probably about 10 inches or so. We're going to do a long tail cast on of about, of 5 stitches. So there's my 2, 3, 4, 5. And I cast those on nice and loose, not too tight. I'm going to turn your work. Oops. And now, this is your wrong side. You're going to just purl across, or sorry, just knit across. So knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now you're going to turn your work. We're going to start setting up our selvage edge that we have on each side. And if you don't know what a selvage edge is, let's take a look at this one here. You'll see here I have a knit purl garter stitch going upside the one side, and the same thing happening on the other side. And this is going to really help prevent your work from curling in on itself. So, you know, if it does that, sometimes it's unattractive and it's hard to get the yarn to do what you want it to do. So this little stitch edge helps prevent that. So here we go. Oopsie. Let's wrap that around my fingers. Okay, we are going to slip the first stitch purlwise, knit one, make one. So we're going to take this bar here. Now we're going to make one on the left. So we're going to make it turn left. So we're picking up this little bar up there, popping it on the needle. We're going to come in from behind. Oopsie. Pick it up. This can be tricky. So you're going to come from behind. Now, sometimes I have a hard time doing that, especially once it's first set up. So I'll actually come from the front and move my needle over like that. Did you catch that? So I'm going to come in from the front and then move my needle like that. So now I'm positioned in the behind and I can knit that stitch. This is the center, so we're going to knit that stitch. Now we're going to make one right. So we're going to pick up that little bar down here in between those two stitches, pick it up, pop it on your needle. Now you see it's in the front here this time. Okay. I'm using my fingers, I'm going to slide that in there. Oopsie. Hold it out, because now this is I'm going to take that needle out and now come in and knit that. Okay, so now I'm going to knit it. If you missed that, let's do it again. You're going to pick up that little bar, slip it over your left needle, so it's coming from the front. I'm going to use my right needle, pull that yarn out a little bit, just so I can get in now. So this is just helping me do this. Aha! And now I can knit that make one right stitch, knit one, and now we're going to change it up a little bit, bring our yarn forward and slip the last stitch purlwise. Okay, turn your work. We are going to knit that first stitch now, just regular like. Okay, knit it, and knit all the way across. This is now the wrong side. Knit all the way across. All the way to the last stitch. Oopsie, sorry. Keep that last stitch there. Yarn forward, slip it purlwise. Okay, turn your work. We're going to do another increase row. We're going to knit the first stitch. This is now the right side. Knit the second stitch, knit the third stitch, and now we're going to make one left. So we put the yarn over like that little bar between the two stitches. Okay, we pick it up, pop it over so that it's coming from behind. Oops, out of focus. There we go. Coming from behind to the front. Now we're going to knit that one through that back loop there. Okay. Knit it. Now you just made one left. Now we just knit that middle one. Now we're going to make one right. So we pick that up, pop it on the left hand needle, and with your right hand needle you can give yourself some assistance there by loosening up that little bar. Now we made one right. Knit the next 2 stitches and yarn forward, slip the last stitch purlwise. Now, whoopsie, we're going to turn our work. Going to knit that first stitch. Okay, now we are going to knit the next one, next one. So we've knit 3 stitches. Now we are going to purl the next 3 stitches. Oopsie. Purl those puppies. And now we knit. We're on the last 3, so we knit 2 stitches, yarn forward, slip purlwise. That process of yarning forward and slipping purlwise on the last stitch is going to help our edge look really nice and neat. You can see here I have a beautiful row of knit stitches that lies nice and flat. So that is what that is achieving. Okay, we're going to turn our work. We have now basically set up our basic foundation. We have 3 stitches for one selvage edge, 3 stitches for our main pattern, 3 stitches for our last edge. We're now going to continue knitting straight up, but only increasing on this side. So let's go. Knit the first one, 2, 3, knit your selvage edge, knit your pattern. You get to the last 3 stitches. Now we're going to start our increase side. So you're going to pick that up, pop it on there, and you're making one right. So make sure that you're going to be knitting it in from the front, just like all those times we did before. And then knit your last 2, yarn front, slip 1 purlwise. You can already see I'm getting some beautiful stitch definition with this yarn. If you find your gauge is not working for your yarn, I would highly recommend changing your needles at this point. You have a really good idea at this point if things are going to work out. Knit the first 3 for your selvage edge. Okay, now we're going to purl 4 because we made one for our pattern side on that last one. Purl 4. And then knit 2 and yarn front, slip 1 purlwise. Okay. Knit the first one, 2, 3, that's your selvage edge. Now your pattern, so obviously you have 4 stitches there. You're going to make an extra one for your pattern. Make one right. You can see I use my fingers there quite a bit to help me do my make one right, holding the yarn and stitches in place. It's taken some practice, but I figure that's the way that helps me the most. On your wrong side, knit the first 3 for your selvage edge, purl to your last 3. This is going to be the same for every single wrong side row from now on. Knit your first 3, purl to your final 3, knit 2, yarn front, slip 1 purlwise. Okay, it's looking good. We're going to continue this for a little while. So keep doing that. Until yeah. See, I'm thinking and talking and la la la. I keep doing this. Let's continue the way that we've been doing until you have a total of 20 stitches on the top. See you back here in a little while. Okay, so I think I've got 20 stitches here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 stitches. And I'm just going to go right away and get rid of this tail and weave in my end because I just am. I really don't like having my ends dangling and getting all tangled in my yarn. I know there's a whole school of thought out there to not weave in your ends until after you're done blocking and blah, 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 and all that stuff. However, I am not one of those people. And I just, yeah, I like to get it out of the way. So, there we go. That should suffice. And use the good old teeth. Okay. So that's just a little bit cleaner, out of the way. And now I can focus on this. So far, maybe that's what yours looks like. It should look something like that, more or less a triangle. We're getting that triangle shape. We've got our selvage edge down the right side and our increased selvage edge down the left side. You will notice that you will get more curling until you block this on the right hand side, but yeah, not to worry about it. Okay, so we are at 20 stitches. We've got our foundation layer all set up. We're now going to go into a simple seed stitch or a garter stitch transition for 6 rows. So to set this up, and for that transition, we'll still keep doing our increases on the left. So I'm going to knit 1, 2, 3. Oopsie, that one's all twisted. 2, 3 for my selvage edge. Now I'm going to purl 1, knit 1, and repeat that all the way to the last 3 stitches. Purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. And this is just going to be a bit of a siege stitch. And I guess you could do it for only 4 rows. That might actually be better. Let's only do it for 4 rows. Then we get more lace in. So we've come to the end. We've done a purl 1, knit 1. We're still going to make our stitch down here. Make 1 right, knit 2 of your selvage edge, yarn front, pass slip stitch. Pass stitch purlwise, slip stitch purlwise. Gonna knit those first 3 selvage edge stitches, and then by looking at our pattern here, we're doing seed stitch. So we want to do a knit stitch on top of purl stitches. So that would be a knit, purl. So we're going to start with a purl. All right, it should be right. Yeah. Knit. So a seed stitch, if you don't know what a seed stitch is, it's basically a knit, purl, repeat pattern, and on the returned row you do the opposite. So you don't get a zigzag, a rib. You get an alternating stitch pattern, which creates a nice textured effect. So you want to do that for 4 rows. We get to our selvage edge, we're going to knit, knit, yarn front, slip 1 purlwise and turn. Now, to go back on our seed stitch, we're going to knit the first one and knit our selvage edge. Okay, and then again, purl that first stitch, and then knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. Okay. Here we go. Coming to the end. We're going to do one more row of that on the wrong side, and then right here we're going to make our row, make our stitch, make one right. Keep that increase going every single right side row. Make sure you keep that increase going. It's easy to forget. Okay. So there we go. You can start seeing some nice texture there, and that's going to be our little transition. And we'll use that method for every transition throughout this entire project. Last row. Knit, knit, knit for my selvage edge. Okay, now we want to check. So the last time we were on the wrong side, we purled first. This time we're going to knit first. And make sure that our stitches are sitting over top of one another. You have a knit stitch on top of a purl and a purl stitch on top of a knit. So you get that effect. Okay, here we go. I should really be more centered. Oh well. And knit, knit, oopsie, I'm all tied up. Knit, knit, yarn front, slip 1 purlwise. There you go. Now we're going to knit, we're going to do 2 rows of stockinette stitch. So that's basically knit across the right side with your increased stitch at the left edge, and purl across the wrong side, taking into consideration your selvage edges. Oopsie, that was wrong. There we go. Let's see. Okay. Boop, 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 doo, doo. We gotta make our one right. And do our selvage edge. Oops. Go. See, it's easy to forget. And then knit our selvage edge. Now I find, and then purl across. I find with knitting shawls to not really count my rows. I find it easier to just count my stitches. I then get less hung up on if I missed a row and doing the increase and all that stuff. It's only if you miss it doing it for a huge section is it ever really noticeable. But if you miss the odd one here and there, it don't matter. Just keep going. Okay, there we go. Done. Looking great. Okay, now we are going to get started on our first lace pattern. It's called Falling Leaves. I got it from the Harmony Book of Stitches. So if you've never seen the Harmony Book of Stitches, it is an incredible resource. It is my go-to Bible. I finally got mine. And yeah, I will put a link for that below as well. It's a 16 row repeat. So it sounds daunting, but it's really not. We are going to do 2 complete pattern repeats, so a total of 32 rows in this next section. So here we go. Okay, so this pattern, Falling Leaves, is a multiple of 10 stitches plus 3. So we should have, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, 18, 23. So we should have not quite a full set, but that should be okay because that's what I love about the cowboy shawl, is that you don't need to have all your stitches ready. So we'll do our selvage edge, knit 1. So now we're starting in on our pattern. Knit 1, knit 2 together. Okay. Knit 3. Oops. 2, 3. The pattern says yarn front, or oopsie. Yarn in my beer. Not yarn in my beer, but yarn front or yarn over. I just like to think of it as a yarn over, because a yarn front would be, okay, yarn front, and now we want you to knit, so you would do that, and then that would come back over, and then you'd knit. So a yarn front is also a yarn over. So yarn over, knit 1, you're going to yarn over again. Okay, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, slip 1 knitwise, so you just slip 1 off, knit 2 together, and now pass slip stitch over, and then the pattern says knit 3, and then we've reached our end. So it goes, go back to the beginning, and beginning of your asterisk, yarn front, knit 1, not yarn front, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over. Well, we've reached the end. I don't want to get too far into that. We're right near the end here. We've got 4 stitches left. I'm just going to knit this last one and make my stitch as I normally would. I don't want to get into doing a whole bunch of 2 stitches together and yarn overs, and then I lose track of my stitches, and then I make my left hand increase ineffective. So we're just going to end it there. On every wrong side row, this is what you do, as I've just been keep saying. Knit your selvage, purl all your pattern stitches, even purl those yarn overs. Okay, purl those yarn overs all the way to the end. Last 3 stitches, selvage edge, we're going to knit 2, yarn front and slip 1 purlwise, and turn your work. Okay, so that was row 1 and row 2. Row 3. So we're going to just follow the pattern. Knit 3 for my selvage edge. Now the pattern says knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 2. So knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 2. Then it wants me to yarn over, knit 3, yarn over, knit 3, yarn over. Then it wants me to knit 2, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over, so yarn over, and I'm going to knit 2, slip 1 knitwise, knit 2 together, oopsie, pass slip stitch over, and then it says knit 2. And I'm at the end, and then it says, okay, go back to the beginning and start all over again. So back to the asterisk. Well, now I do have some space. So now I'm going to start including some of those changes. So I'm going to yarn over, and it says yarn over knit 3, but I don't have space to knit 3. I only have space to knit 2. So I'm just going to yarn over knit 2 and then make one. That's the end. So I just went to the end of that line, as far as I could go. I really always do that part kind of by feel, but now we're starting to see that the pattern is getting going. I'm a little bit worried because this is coming out more speckled than I expected, but it should still be fine. It may not show up the lace as well. Okay, wrong side row, do your thing, knit, 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 purl to the last 3, knit, knit, slip 1 purlwise, or knit 2, slip 1 purlwise. Okay, I think that's the last time I'll knit that for you, and then we'll just jump to each proper row, each right side row. Okay, looking good. Row 5 for this pattern. Do our selvage edge, 3 stitches. Now, pattern calls, knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1. So you'll see a pattern, if you're part of the pun, developing here. Okay, yarn front. Last time we yarn front, knit 3. This time we're going to yarn, or not yarn front, yarn over and knit 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. That knit 5 is punctuated by each yarn over from the time before. We now are going to slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over. Done. And then the pattern says knit 1, and then go back to the asterisk. So the asterisk says yarn over, knit 5. We don't have space for knit 5. We only have space for knit 2, 3, 4. And then we get back to these 4 here. So I'm not going to knit 5 and yarn over again. I'm going to end the pattern, knit 1, and make 1 right for my increase, knit 2, yarn front, slip one, purlise, turn work, and purl. So you know the deal on this one. Okay. It's taking shape, folks. It's taking shape. We are going to do row 7 now. So again, your selvage edge, knit, 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 knit. Then the pattern says knit 1, knit 2 together. Knit 1, knit 2 together. Yarn over. Okay, and then knit 7. So we did a 3, a 5, and now a 7. So there's a pattern appearing. There we go. It says yarn over, slip 1, knit 2 together. Oopsie. Knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over. Okay, now we've got the top of our leaf right there. Isn't that pretty? We're going to yarn front again, or yarn over again, and then it says knit 7. Oops. Yarn over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then of course we can't do 6, 7, so we're just going to do whatever. Knit that last one, 4 from the end, then we make one right, and knit 3, or knit 2, pass slip stitch over. Okay, I'm going to turn our work and purl again. Okay, row number 9, here we come. Again, deal with our selvage edge as you normally would. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Then pattern says knit 2, yarn over, knit 3, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 3. Oopsie. Knit 3. Then it says, oops, I got it twisted. Then it says go back to your asterisks. So that is a slip 1, knit 2 together. See? Knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over. Knit 3. Well, we can't quite get there yet. So we're just going to do a knit 1 and then do our making. Then deal with your selvage edge. Okay, turn your work and purl. Okay, row 11. Deal with your selvage. So that's a knit, knit, knit. Row 11, pattern says knit 3, yarn over, knit 2, knit 3, yarn over, knit 2, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 3, okay, yarn over, knit 2, and go back to your asterisk at the beginning of yarn 11, which is a slip one, knit two together, pass slip stitch over, and then knit two. Well, we can only knit one, so we'll just knit one and then do our increase, and then selvage edge. Okay, we're getting there. Going to turn our work and do the wrong side. Getting closer, row 13. Here we go. So we've just done a wrong side row. I think I keep saying, and you want to purl that row. You know what I mean when I say you want to purl that row. It's you want to do that row with your selvage edges. So row 13, we've done our selvage edge. It says knit 4, yarn over, knit 1. So knit 4, yarn over, knit 1. Now we start our asterisk, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over. Well, this feels familiar from the last couple rows. Pass slip stitch over. You'll see we have this nice little center of the leaf forming right there. We're then going to knit 1. Excuse me, yarn over, knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn over, and then knit 1 and go back to the beginning. So that's a slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over, and then a yarn over. Where am I? I'm lost. Yarn over and then a knit 5. We only have space for 4, so I'm just going to yarn over and knit 1, and then that's it. Let's make one. Okay. 1, 2, and then boom. There we go. So we're slowly increasing our pattern to the left there. Let's check our stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6. 26 stitches. You should have something around there. If you don't have exactly 26 stitches, it's not the end of the world. Just keep going. Okay, we're going to do a wrong side row and then come back and do row 15. Okay, I think this is row 15. Knit 1, 2, 3 for my selvage edge. And then we want to get right in. So this is a knit 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn over, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over. We're going to do another yarn over, and then this is a knit 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to go to the beginning of the asterisk now. So yarn over, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over, yarn over, and then calls for a knit 7, but we can only fit a couple in there. So we will just do 2, make one right, and then do our left hand selvage edge. Done. Last row, or second last row. Oh no, this is the last row. Row 16. is just, okay, so we're going to deal with our selvage edge, so knit those 3 stitches, then we're going to purl 3, 4, oopsie, 5, 6, oopsie. Oh, last 3. We're going to knit, knit, purl. Now, we've done all that hard work, and we need to save it, because things like this can get messed up very easily. So we're going to put in a rescue line. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to put in a rescue line just in case something goes wrong and we are going to rip it out. We don't want to have to worry about dropping those yarn over stitches and whatnot. So I have this wonderful golden thread that I like to use. We're just going to thread this puppet through here with a big, oopsie, with a big needle. I like to double strand mine just in case. Oops, I'm all twisted. Let's double strand it. And to do that, now let's just pull it onto the wire, to the string, and then I'm just going to use my needle and slide it through each stitch. And then, yeah, like I said, the couple minutes that it takes to do this will save you tearing your hair out potentially later. So, I usually like to do this every kind of pattern repeat or every transition that I'm going to be doing. So, there we go. I'll just break that. Now, when I knit this, I must just be careful not to pick up that thread. I just accidentally pulled the second thread out, but that's okay, as long as there's something in there. Okay, as long as there's something. So, let's pull that back. There we go. And we are now going to continue with our pattern. So go back to the first row of the falling leaves pattern that we just started all together with the knit 1, knit 2, knit 3, asterisk, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 3, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over, knit 3, go back to the beginning of your asterisk. That's the one you want to do. We are going to do that one more time. Alrighty. See you on the other side. And yeah, yay, exciting. Alrighty, so after a little bit of work and completing 2 full pattern rounds, so 32 rows, this is what I am left with. I've just done a quick steam block to see what my stitch definition is like and if I like my gauge and all that stuff, and I'm pretty happy. Everything looks good. One thing I would have to say is maybe this yarn choice is a little bit too busy, but I think for the purposes of this knit along, I think it should be fine. Anyway, yeah, cheers. So what we're going to do now is do one row of knit and then a row of purl on the wrong side, and then do 4 rows of moss stitch or seed stitch, whatever you would like to call it, as we did earlier right down here. And that is the end of section 1. Yay! Hi everyone. So we are back. We've done a little bit of knitting, not a lot. This is our first phase of the lace cake shawl, Seaside Cowboy lace cake, whatever you want to call it. It's looking good. Notes on my yarn. Yes, it is a little bit busy. However, I still love it. So everything's fine. And happy knitting. And the next one should be out in a few days. So enjoy. Bye.